Most recently, we've been involved in West North Carolina a great deal. And we had some confirmed reporting through two solid sources. Um, and this is where I have to be very iffy. And I told him in the car, and he can tell you offline, I cannot say this on the air, but we had two solid sources, one south of the border and then one from an element within our own government that confirmed independently of each other that some Iranian-made man pads, so surface-to-air missiles, had come across the border. We had the location and everything else. Well, Doc, that's what he goes by, Doc Chambers, he put this out on a podcast, and I was very emphatic, like, this is not stuff that I like to put on social media. I'm an intel guy by trade. This stuff is not for social media consumption. We got this to Secret Service. We did the whole gamut and got everything pushed to them, and that's why Trump was pushing a lot of this stuff out when he was, because we had told the Secret Service and they had the reporting and everything else. But we have not, to my knowledge, have not recovered those man pads. Now, I'm not privy to that, but what I do know we have done is we have apprehended the couriers on a second run of theirs, and we have local law enforcement got together with federal law enforcement and rolled up the safe house in, I will not say that on this show, but they rolled up the safe house where it was, and we have since identified what that issue was on the border.
Now, let me just. Where did they come through?
They came through an actual point of entry, in a legal point of entry along the border. I'd have to pull up the original reporting, but we had the actual.
So we now have Iranian missiles. Who knows how many? And inside the United States.
That is not something you're going to see in a lot of places. Like I said, I didn't even want to talk about it. It was one of those things where I was just amplifying what he was putting out already, because I was like, man, I don't know about putting this out. But it was something we found was pertinent, because at the time, Trump was still campaigning. He was flying around, and there was the reports were their intent was to take down Trump's airplane. So at the time, Secret Service switched things up a bit, and allegedly, from what I've told, they started flying him around on charters for a while, until they could identify and kind of mitigate that threat. But that was the reporting stream that was coming out at the time. Feds handled it, off my plate.
You know, I mean, I'm with you on the not releasing certain things on social media. I understand that, but on the other hand, it seems to be the only way to demand any type of accountability or get this and force FBI, Homeland, whoever else is involved to dive into this shit and actually take part. And that's what we've been doing here on the show with Scott Mann, retired Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret, Sarah Adams, former agency targeter. We brought on Legend, who's an Army intelligence guy who goes by Legend because he doesn't want to reveal his name because he still is very involved. And we even went all the way to Vienna to interview Commander Massoud, the leader of the National Resistance Front in Afghanistan. And, you know, we've been talking about this stuff for a year. We got it to Congress. Congressman out of Knoxville, Tennessee, Tim Burchett, sent a bill up. It's literally about we need to stop funding the Taliban, $40 to $87 million a week. The Taliban has set up multiple NGOs within Afghanistan, and basically what we're doing is sending loads of cash to NGOs that the Taliban had set up. We're funding our own demise, and nobody's fucking paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. We tried to get it in the media. We got a little bit of hits. Most of them were from outside the U.S. We had a reporter out of India kind of cover it, but we've been warning about what's happening for damn near a year now. Sarah first came on, I believe it was October of 2023, was her first interview, and nobody took it seriously. Now we have the New Orleans attack. We have Iranian missiles. We have these invisible bombs. Do you know about the invisible bombs? So now these terrorist organizations have developed invisible bombs that will get through metal detectors, any kind of screening device that's out there, and they brag about this. And now we just did a Twitter Spaces with Sarah Adams, and they are now bragging that what we know about the invisible bomb, it's now even more advanced than it was before. So that means they can get this into stadiums, they can get this into airports, they can get this pretty much anywhere they want because you cannot detect it.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Great.
So, for the people out there, look, there's no stopping what's here. You cannot stop this.
Nope, you can't roll it back.
Not
you can't
with
put
what
the
we
genie back
have
in the bottle.
already in here. We have sleeper cells.
Yep.
We're already getting reports that I just lost my train of thought. Oh, we're already getting some reports that there may be a bit more involved in the Louisiana, New Orleans attack that they're not releasing. We also, I'll tell you this, there's a group of people flying around and basically briefing up different departments, governors about what's coming, how to deal with it in their communities. There are deputies in New Orleans who put in requests for training on how to take care of a threat like this, and those fucking requests were denied. They were denied. And so what I basically want to say is it's going to be a bloody 2025. I think that's very obvious. And so for those of you that are looking for something to do and if finally come to the realization that our government is failing us, here's what you need to do. You need to get with your local communities. You need to, especially schools. Schools are very vulnerable no matter how many active shooters we have in the schools. The infrastructure that's been put in, which is minimal to none, a lot of schools still have none. You better start holding your schools accountable, and you better start raising hell and having them upgrade security no matter what the cost, because no matter what the cost is, it's not gonna amount to the loss of life that we will potentially see throughout the United States.